provide you with the lowest per GB rates, night or day. SLT 4G, driving you ever forward.
Making headlines on First at 9. Adverse weather patterns. Low pressure zone in Arabian Sea moving away from Sri Lanka towards Oman after claiming 4 lives. Investment roundtable. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe tells Norwegian investors that Sri Lanka plans to export more fisheries product European market.
As income level rises, fish will be one of the main sources of protein.
What was in secret? Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa denies any secret meeting with President Maithripala Sirisena. Policing activities. Executive Director of the Centre for Human Rights, Kirti Tendukun, says controversial photos at Pidurangala Rock are doctored.
The real issue comes here, the role the Director General of the Archaeology Department has played in this.
Judiciary on politics. US President's nominee for the Supreme Court sworn in amid protests.
Let's nurture fresh colors seen by little eyes, guided by the light of our love. This space is for your little one. Adding flavor to World Children's Day. Tiara.
A very good evening to all our viewers on First at 9 on Derana 24/7, Sri Lanka's news channel. I'm Katrina Chang. Now on to your top story tonight. The low pressure zone which has been developing over the Arabian Sea is presently moving towards Oman, further away from Sri Lanka. However, it is predicted that this situation will be developed into a cyclonic condition in the next few hours. It is the indirect effects of this condition that has been causing severe weather across 8 provinces of the island. The Disaster Management Centre confirmed that 4 deaths have been reported due to the inclement weather. Department of Meteorology issued a heavy rain and strong wind advisory to all provinces today. Naval and fishing communities are also requested to be vigilant over the next 48 hours.
Sri Lanka is currently experiencing severe weather conditions due to indirect effects of the formation of a tropical cyclone in the Arabian Sea that is expected to make landfall later this week. Since yesterday, the southern, central, Sabaragamuwa and western provinces have been experiencing heavy showers exceeding 150 millimeters, while the eastern, northwestern, north central and Uva provinces saw heavy falls of about 100 millimeters. 4 people, including a 6-year-old, were injured in Udovita area in Kalutara district after 2 houses were damaged by a landslip owing to heavy rain. They were immediately admitted to the base hospital in Horana. Meanwhile, a 42-year-old resident in Vattava area in Matugama died after he was caught up in strong currents of the Matugama Canal while crossing the submerged bridge over the canal. In a similar incident, another individual also died in Vanduraba area in Gaul yesterday. Meanwhile, many low-lying areas of the Kalu River, including Maduravela, Horana, Bulatsinhala, Ingiriya and Palindanura, are currently inundated. Residents in the low-lying areas of Gin River such as Baddegama, Bope, Poddala, Valivita, Divitura, Nagoda, Niyagama, Tavalama and Neluwa were also inconvenienced today after roads and houses were inundated due to heavy falls. Roads near the Attanagalla Oya, which runs through Nigambo, Jayala, Minuangoda and Gampaha areas, were also inundated today. Meanwhile, 150 houses were inundated in Paliagoda after heavy rainfall during the past 48 hours. 15 houses in Akmimana area in Gaul were damaged due to lightning during thunder showers. The Valipanna interchange on the Southern Expressway is also temporarily closed after the Matugama-Aludgam road was inundated last night. Meanwhile, the Disaster Management Unit of Putlam took action to temporarily close the Old Manor Road after water levels in Kalaoya increased due to heavy falls over the past 24 hours. The Ministry of Irrigation and Water Resources Management says heavy rainfall in the past week has resulted in water levels of Kalani, Kalu and Ging rivers to increase. Meanwhile, the National Building Research Organisation has issued landslide warnings to Wallavita, Bulatsinhala, Agalavatta, Matugama, Baduraliya and Ingiriya divisional secretariats today. Meanwhile, astronomer Anurasi Pereira attributes gravitational changes within the solar system as the cause for natural disasters in recent months.
All these severe weather conditions are caused because Mercury, Venus and Jupiter have orbited closer to each other. Combined gravitational pull of these planets have caused vibrations in the Van Allen radiation belt. The Earth's atmosphere is affected by this phenomenon, resulting in severe weather conditions globally. This is why we have low atmospheric disturbances, heavy rains, storms, earthquakes and tsunamis being reported everywhere. We'll have to expect this situation for the next few weeks as well.
Sheila Fernando is at the other Derana Weather Centre with your forecast for this evening edition with more details on how the weather patterns are expected to be in the next 24 hours.
A very good evening to our viewers and welcome to Forecast First. According to the Department of Meteorology, the depression in the Arabian Sea, which is predicted to be developed into a cyclonic storm, is gradually moving away from Sri Lanka. Now it will move in the direction of Oman and Yemen, that is northwest from Sri Lanka. The prevailing rainy condition across the island is likely to continue over the next few days, with heavy falls of about 150 millimeters expected in the southern, central, Sabaragamuwa and western provinces. Fairly strong gusty winds up to 40 to 50 kilometers per hour can be expected over the Badulla district. The possibility of the roughness in the sea areas of the coast extending from Mannar to Hambantota via Puttalam, Colombo, Galle and Matara is still high, with the increase of wind speed up to 70 to 80 kilometers per hour, particularly during thunder showers. Naval and fishing communities are therefore requested to be vigilant. The depression is expected to emerge from an area of active thunderstorms across southern India, where Kerala and Tamil Nadu states are already seeing torrential rain. It seems that 2018 is turning out to be a dangerous year for Kerala. The state is yet to recover from bad memories of Kerala floods, and now another spell of heavy rains is on the card to wreak havoc. That's all we have from the Weather Centre tonight. Up next is your City by City forecast.
Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe says that Sri Lanka has plans to make the fisheries one of Sri Lanka's biggest imports to Europe. Prime Minister also welcomes the assistance of NGOs in training and education of latest technology into the country, participating at the investment roundtable moderated by ICT Norway yesterday.
Before concluding his official visit to Norway, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe engaged in an observational tour at the Norwegian Geotechnical Institute yesterday, which is one of the pioneering institutes on constructions in the world. The Sri Lankan delegation was warmly welcomed by its Director General Carl Hendrik. Prior to departing for London, Prime Minister-led Sri Lankan delegation also participated in an investment roundtable session on information and communication technology moderated by the ICT Norway.
We must have a close relation. But if we come to a stage where Sri Lanka itself is looking at export-oriented economy and moving forward, accelerating it, and at the same time, new markets are appearing in the Indian Ocean countries, which will very soon have well over 2 billion people. Immediate question which arises, to which we have given a priority, are fisheries. The modernizing of Sri Lanka's fisheries. Sri Lanka aims to make fisheries one of its biggest import items into Europe. But in the long term, we feel the biggest export market is going to be within our region, in an area of dietary habits which are not seen in any other part of the world. As income level rises, fish will be one of the main sources of protein. Developing the fisheries sector means giving the incentive for investments, Sri Lankan investments, foreign investments, joint ventures, anything. The second one, and which concerns here, is technology. How we could enhance the opportunities for learning these technologies. It is limited in Sri Lanka, and the need for non-governmental sector to be involved in the training and education in the field. In the case of knowledge services, we are looking at a new package which will most probably come in by mid next year.
The Vietmag organization attributes the continuous depreciation of the rupee and increased acts of violence reported in parts of the country to mismanagement of state affairs by the unity government. Member of the organization Madhavi Herat expressed these views during a media briefing held in Colombo today.
Because of the higher national debt, our corruptions and decline of our international indices, all things are affected to our depreciation of Sri Lankan rupee. And I think we should pay our attention to law and order. Even after our civil war, we had a very good situation. Now we have a big problem. I think we can clearly understand the failures of this government. According to our responsibility as professionals, we should ask current government, please go home. Otherwise, we never lead our country towards the prosperity, peace and development, and I think we never achieve any advantage in the international wise.
The elephant population of Sri Lanka, which has come under threat, faced yet another tragedy when a train accident at Namalgama claimed the lives of 3 young elephants last night. A passenger train was plying from Batticaloa to Colombo when the incident occurred. This comes in a backdrop where 3 elephants, including a pregnant elephant, was knocked down in Derana last month.
3 elephants were knocked down at Namalgama by Meenagaya Express train plying from Batticaloa to Colombo at around 9:40 last night. The fatal accident killed 3 wild elephants on the spot. Amongst them were 2 male elephants aged between 7 and 8 and a 15-year-old pregnant elephant. Four compartments of the Colombo-bound train carrying 600 passengers derailed following the incident, damaging the railway track. The post-mortem examination of the elephants was conducted this morning by veterinarian Dr. Dinusha De Silva. The railway control room stated that a special team has been deployed to repair the damaged railway line. This was the second such incident that occurred in recent months. Earlier in September, a railway petroleum transport service plying from Colombo to Batticaloa collided with 3 elephants near the 127-kilometre post between Derana and Palugaswawa.
Coming Tuesday is set to be a crucial day for the UPFA, with its parliamentarian Ranjit Soiza saying that a decisive discussion will be held with former President Mahinda Rajapaksa on the possibility of establishing a caretaker government. The parliamentarian made the announcement while speaking at a media briefing in a backdrop where media reports citing secretive meetings alleged to have taken place between President Maithripala Sirisena and the former president have come to light.
Media reports emerged which say that a secretive and highly confidential discussion between President Maithripala Sirisena and former President Mahinda Rajapaksa had taken place. The reports identify the venue of this alleged discussion to be the residence of former Minister S.B. Dissanayake. The alleged hush-hush discussion was more than a point of interest in the country's political arena.
There are discussions underway for a caretaker government. Relevant parties are meeting in secrecy, but it's no good for the country. The preparations which are underway are to build a government with the union of old and new thieves. No matter who says what, we are not ready for a unity government. We will hold a crucial discussion on the coming Tuesday with former President Rajapaksa with regards to a caretaker government. This is like inviting foxes into the hen house. A man with brains cannot build a government with those thieves.
Meanwhile, former President Mahinda Rajapaksa also touched on the confidential talks he allegedly had with President Maithripala Sirisena. Professor G.L. Peiris in the meantime calls on the former president to take over the leadership of the SLPP and to steer the party through the challenges that lie ahead.
No, I think the time is now appropriate for the former president Mahinda Rajapaksa to take over the leadership of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna. In terms of the constitution of the party, there is a separate position of leader of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna. We are trying our best to hold that convention before the 31st of December. There are many challenges to be faced in the coming months, and the general demand of the party membership and indeed of the whole country is that he should take over this position and give leadership to the party and steer it through the very challenging times that lie ahead. I'm sure that he would accede to our request.
Health Minister Dr. Rajesh Senaratne says that the year 2019 is the most critical year for the country's economy as the government has to settle a large amount of loans. Minister Senaratne made this remark addressing a ceremony to declare open a building complex at Nuwara District Hospital premises today.
Next year is a critical year for us since we have to settle vast amounts of debt, possibly amounting to the highest in the country's history. All of it was taken out by the previous government. The Treasury has all the reports of loans and we trusted the reports, but we were getting settlement orders exceeding the amounts mentioned in books. We checked what had happened. The IMF and the World Bank had given us limitations for loans. What the previous government had done was take out loans via banks. A state bank had taken out a loan from a foreign bank, and unless we settle that loan, it will affect our entire banking industry. The fate of Lalit Kotalawala's bank may befall on other banks as well. If that happens, the deposits of millions of people in the country will be in question. Therefore, we have a responsibility to settle that debt, irrespective of how they obtain the loans.
Executive Director of the Centre for Human Rights, Kirti Tenakun, says that the arrest of several youths for posting semi-nude photographs on social media said to have been taken at the Piduranga Rock is questionable, alleging that the pictures have been altered. He made his remarks addressing a media briefing in Colombo today.
The controversial semi-nude images which was distributed by the Facebook and the other social medias and the mainstream media is photoshopped, and we are having a very scientific analysis of the images which were used to discredit these very young schoolboys. These students gone to Pidurangala, they have taken images and of the Sigiriya press course and the vicinity areas, and then they photoshopped it with some other images totally outside the said Piduranga premises, and they have created an image and they themselves has published it giving an impression that they have taken this photo in this particular place. But the main issue is that the police has now charged these students under the Archaeological Act section 31, which is unbailable offence, and it is very unfortunate that this complaint is initiated by the Director General of the National Archaeology Department, and he, the person who represents the department himself, says that he, Director General, instructed him to make that evidence as a complaint. So it's a fabricated complaint in a way. So the real issue comes here, the role the Director General of the Archaeology Department has played in this.
Chairman of the Land Reclamation and Development Corporation, Roshan Gunawardene, says that they intend to accept garbage collected in Colombo if the Colombo Municipal Council agrees to settle outstanding areas or to discuss the matter. Gunawardene made these comments in response to allegations levelled by the mayoress of Colombo yesterday.
Garbage accumulated in Colombo and its suburbs are dumped at the Keravalapitia garbage dump, which comes under the Land Reclamation and Development Corporation. The corporation has rejected to accept garbage, citing arrears in payments to it. As a result, vehicles transporting garbage were seen halted adjacent the entrance to the Keravalapitia garbage dump today as well. Accordingly, the mayoress of Colombo Municipal Council, Rosie Senanaka, yesterday viewed the situation as holding the Colombo Municipal Council to ransom by the Land Reclamation and Development Corporation.
රුපියල් 3000ක් එක මෙට්‍රික් ටන් එකකට අපි ගෙවනවා.
We pay 3,000 rupees per metric ton. In addition to that, they are asking us to increase that to 5,000 rupees for May 2017 and to pay the arrears. They told that they would not allow us to dump garbage today if we fail to pay 207 million rupees. We will be unable to provide other services to the general public if we pay such an enormous amount of money. They did not allow our vehicles transporting garbage. In the absence of the Prime Minister, I tried to contact the Minister but couldn't get through, and tried contacting the President, but all my efforts were futile. I forwarded a letter to the President in this regard. The subject minister later told me to ask my financial department to speak to the ministry and to solve the problem. I view this as holding the CMC to ransom. I am not responsible if garbage piles up in Colombo. Due to the cleanliness of the city, dengue cases have gone down by 62%. Due to this latest situation, the general public is at risk of epidemics in Colombo. Given the circumstances, I cannot take an arbitrary decision to pay 207 million rupees from the CMC. This isn't fair. I humbly request the President to intervene in this regard.
ජනාධිපතිතුමාට බගෑපත්ව ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා මේකට මැදිහත් වෙලා පිළිතුරක් ලබා දෙන්න.
The Land Reclamation and Development Corporation today responded to allegations levelled against them by the mayors of Colombo.
We summoned the Colombo Municipal Council 3 times, but the mayors did not come in any of these occasions. We informed them that we won't accept garbage from the 1st of this month, and the ministry informed them that garbage won't be accepted from the 4th of this month. They very well knew that we won't accept garbage from the 6th onwards. The CMC earns 20 billion rupees per annum. We haven't increased a cent so far. If they are making such a claim, it's completely baseless.
You are watching Sri Lanka's award-winning news channel, Derana 24/7.
Secretary to the Minister of Finance, Prasad Karivasam, says that Sri Lanka must focus on creating an ocean-based economy utilizing the country's strategic position in the Indian Ocean. He expressed these views at a media briefing in Colombo recently.
A media briefing to create awareness on the symposium Indian Ocean Defining Our Future was held in Colombo recently. The two-day international symposium, to be held from the 12th to 13th of this month, was organized by the Prime Minister's office, which will explore challenges in the region.
Indian Ocean has, in the history, Sri Lanka has been a center. But the way that Asian economies are developing, take China, take India, these are the economic center of gravity in the world is shifting to Asia. So there will be a lot more opportunities in Asia in time to come, centered around the ocean. If you know, in today's world, 90% of the people live by the shores. So the ocean-based economy is very big. And Sri Lanka has a golden opportunity to get into that and base our prosperity on the base of that economy, because the land resources are diminishing, ocean resources are still there, and it has to be managed properly so that the littoral states, island nations can benefit from that. But for all that, you need stability, security, and cooperation. When great powers becoming economic powers, there could be certain areas where sometimes strategic aspirations of countries does come into conflict. So it is very important to have discussions with those countries in a manner that we come to an understanding as to how we will manage the interaction in the ocean space. And in that, of course, we are also mindful that we need to avoid domination by any power of a group of countries, the ocean space. Rather, we would promote cooperation against domination.
At the close of trading this week, the Colombo stock market ended 0.83% firmer at 5,883.77, its highest close since September 26th. The All-Share Price Index moved further away from its lowest close since December 13, 2013, which was hit on Tuesday. All-Share Price Index fell 3.6% last month and is down 8.2% so far this year. Meanwhile, on Friday, foreign investors sold a net 30.2 million rupees worth of shares, extending the year-to-date net foreign outflow to 6.1 billion rupees worth of equities. We have Dimantha Matthew from First Capital Holdings to give us the market forecast for next week.
The overall market bottomed out marginally above 5,800 and saw an uptrend in spite of the foreign outflow. Amidst the global emerging market sell-off continuing, we expect the Colombo bourse to be negatively impacted by the outflow. However, the heavy dip in the market saw bargain hunting in selected counters. We believe local investors will continue selective buying as the overall forex and capital markets settle down from the initial panic during the last 2 weeks amidst the heavy depreciation of the rupee. Turnover and volumes are likely to be low due to the prevailing weak sentiment.
Following weeks of rancorous debate, US President Donald Trump's controversial nominee for the Supreme Court, Brett Kavanaugh, sworn in as the new Supreme Court Justice of the United States. His confirmation yesterday hands Trump a political victory ahead of key midterm elections in November. Before the vote, hundreds of people protested against Kavanaugh's nomination at the US Capitol in Washington.
US President Donald Trump nominated Brett Kavanaugh for the position of the Supreme Court Justice after long-serving Justice Anthony Kennedy announced his retirement on 27th of June at the age of 81. The US Senate yesterday backed the nomination by 50 votes and 48 in favor of the Republicans, and the vote was largely along party lines. Allegations of sexual assault, alcohol abuse and Kavanaugh's angry response to these allegations during Senate confirmation hearings dominated headlines while deeply dividing the United States for weeks. This was evident even yesterday when the vote was interrupted at least 4 times by protesters in the gallery. Hours before the vote, hundreds of protesters against Kavanaugh assembled on the grounds of the Capitol and at the Supreme Court amid tighter than usual security. Dozens of people were detained by US Capitol Police after breaching barricades on the Capitol steps. The 53-year-old later swore in as the Supreme Court Justice in a private ceremony at the Supreme Court. US President Donald Trump welcomed the development, saying that he is 100% certain that Christine Blasey Ford named the wrong person when she accused Brett Kavanaugh of sexual assault.
One of the reasons I chose him is because there is nobody with a squeaky clean past like Brett Kavanaugh. He is an outstanding person, and I'm very honored to have chosen him. He will be there for many years, and I appreciate it very much. And I can tell you that the people that spoke to me most, really in the strongest of terms, were in his favor were women. Women were outraged at what happened to Brett Kavanaugh. Outraged.
Kavanaugh's appointment is for life, and he will strengthen conservative control of the 9-judge court, which has the final say on US law.
You are watching Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Derana 24/7.
On to tennis now. Russian qualifier Daniil Medvedev stunned home favourite Kei Nishikori in the final to claim the Japan Open title after a comfortable 6-2, 6-4 victory in Tokyo today. Medvedev came out as the blocks fast, and Nishikori, aiming for his 3rd title at this event, could not cope with the big-hitting Russian who broke his serve at the 2nd time of asking. After that, it was a story of mistakes by world number 12 Nishikori, 11 unforced errors in the first set, and consistent serving by Medvedev, who strolled to a 6-2 first set in just 25 minutes. Nishikori hasn't won a tour-level title since the Memphis Open in February 2016, a stretch that now include 8 consecutive losses in the final stage of a tournament. And that is it for tonight. Thank you for joining us and have a pleasant evening.